But with review response, that's also true. If you're in a place where you truly, honestly cannot respond, like you are just so like over it and done with that person, it's better to say nothing than to like match them and fight fire with fire. But I think even in those situations, there's almost always a way to salvage it, because what's nice about a site like Yelp is it doesn't turn back and forth into like a text thread. There's not really it's not like Facebook or other sites where you can just comment and comment and comment and comment. It's really, they post a review, you are your response, and that's kind of it. They can update their review, but okay, if it looks like a crazy, it quacks like a crazy, it's probably a crazy. And we know Yelp consumers and Yelp users are educated and intelligent and can discern. So if they're looking at a business that has 4 or 5 stars and 50 reviews, and they see like the one reviewer who has written 7 paragraphs, they're probably like, right? So every business has that person. But I was like using a review response as an opportunity to pivot the conversation and just say, you know, thanks, we appreciate that you tried this out. Sorry we can make things right with you. But you know, there are a few other businesses in the area that might be a better fit for you. You know, we always recommend this one. Best of luck in your hunting. And then you know, I see businesses who have, if you are writing a review response that is longer than the review, you are doing something wrong. But that is a good rule. You can jot that down and take that to the bank. I say keep your review responses to maybe 5 lines. And don't just copy and paste responses, because that looks insincere, especially if you're doing a public one. I always just say 5 lines and, you know, add something a little bit tonight. Is Yelp very much emulates the real world, right? And Yelp is word of mouth online. Who has a Netflix account or shares a Netflix account? Won't you. So when you first create your Netflix account, Netflix doesn't really know anything about you, right? So they're recommending, and their whole thing is getting you to watch more content. So they're like, you know what? You love Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon 19. Highly recommend, watch this. And then over time, as you binge watch a certain director or, you know, really like a certain kind of category, it gets to know you so much better, and then it's making much more focused, tailored recommendations that make a lot of sense to you. But the way that it gets to know you is not by, you know, you telling Netflix, you know, I like this, I don't like this, because actually they even got rid of the star rating functionality of Netflix. Right? You can't even say this is 5 stars anymore. The way that they get to know you is by all the activities that you take in that account. So with Yelp, it's actually very much the same thing. The way that we get to know our users is by somebody having an account, because you need to have an account to write a review. And if somebody is not active in that account or doesn't use that account a lot, we just don't know enough about them to share that review with the community. So the same way that you probably don't trust the recommendation of the person, you know, screaming out restaurant names in Tropicana here in Las Vegas, Yelp doesn't trust that consumer that we don't know very well either. Whereas if somebody, a close friend of yours, made a recommendation to you saying, hey, last time I was in Vegas, I went to this restaurant, you should really try it out, you have so much more context for that. Like, you know that they know what you like, you've probably shared meals together, you've known each other for years, so you're probably putting a lot more weight in that. Yelp works in exactly the same way, but the only way that we get to know our users is based on activity in their account. What's nice though, is maybe you end up striking up a conversation with that shouting person on Tropicana, and then you become really good friends. Yelp recommends reviews. We're evaluating the reviews constantly. So just because it's not recommended now doesn't mean it won't be recommended down the road. It's just based on that user and that user's activity. And as a business owner, there's nothing that you can do or influence or change to make that review unrecommended to recommended, or vice versa. The only thing that you can do with a review, if you think it's like not for your business, or violates content guidelines or terms of service or something like that, you can flag it, and that goes to our ops team and they evaluate it. but we don't take sides in disputes because you would imagine a lot of receipts and purchase records and things like that would magically disappear if we did that, so we don't verify that way.
Why doesn't Yelp do more to filter out the crazies? So what I mean by that is the crazy's always the one that has 60 reviews that they've done, and 55 of them are 1 stars, and nobody they ever deal with is positive or can do them right.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously consumers use different sites in different ways, and every business deals with the crazies. That's why, you can flag a user if you think that they're fake or, just that kind of level of crazy, because the kind of framework of our site is around connecting people with great local businesses. What I can also say is, as a consumer myself, if I'm looking at a page and I see that somebody has written a really scathing review, the most important thing on a page is overall star rating. Hands down, that is what people are focusing on. And then they're reading reviews of people who are like them. So if I'm seeing a review that I'm just what is this person's problem? And then I see that the business responds, and responds in kind, and is moving on. As a consumer, that's not going to have an outsized impact for me. But within our communities, we have, do you know about the Yelp Elite Squad? We have kind of super users. You can't be part of that group if you are that quote-unquote crazy. Our site is much more oriented towards positive user experiences.
Well, I guess my question just relates to, you guys have recommended reviews, and you work really hard to make sure those reviews are organic.
Yeah.
But then some crazy person's allowed to never say anything positive. So
Yeah.
It's surprising.
Well, yes, that is obviously frustrating from the business owner perspective. And my mom's deli had a guy who, she literally, I was there when this happened, because when I was in school, I was working there in the summer, and he goes, "Is there celery in the chicken salad?" And she point blank looks at him and goes, "Yes, there is celery in the chicken salad." 2 days later, 1-star review on Yelp. "I cannot believe there was celery in the chicken salad. I asked, they said there was no celery in the chicken salad. I can't believe it." And I'm just sitting there just slack-jawed, what is that? The thing I can say is we are not in the business of censorship. We're not going to tell you you can or can't say this. We have terms of service and content guidelines, and if something violates that, we take it down. But it has to be pretty egregious, racism and things like that. But yeah, so we don't just wildly deactivate accounts that way.
So what good is it to flag someone then?
So flagging is for exactly that situation. So every review, positive or negative, is treated the same way by the recommendation software, right? It's not weighed or skewed, and there's no normal distribution. It is simply flagging if it's not for your business, if it violates terms of service, if it violates content guidelines, inappropriate reviews, things like that. If you are in a business where somebody is sharing, personal information about you that is not public, so somebody's naming a store associate, first and last name, things like that. That is something that is taken on a case-by-case basis by our operations team. But a flag puts that into the removed section, so that doesn't factor into your overall star rating. And I think it depends on how large you are, how sophisticated you are, just how many resources you have. For a lot of business owners that I work with, when they're brand new, they don't have many resources to dedicate towards a ton of different platforms. So for them, when they're looking at, when I'm telling them to kind of think about how consumers are finding them, having a website's important. Having a review site that is used in your area is important. Having a way for people to stay in touch with you and connect with you after transacting with your business is important. So if that's a newsletter, if that's Facebook, whatever it may be. And then the way that you want to think about it and position yourself within those spaces is, what are the things that are most important to consumers in those spaces? What are the ones that are most used because you want to have insight and kind of a foray into the largest market share? Anything beyond that is incrementality. Anything beyond that is going to get you a smaller slice of the market, but still attract a portion of consumers. So I think every tool has an audience. I think it's whether or not you have the resources to successfully manage a tool like that. I will say, step back, anything that solicits reviews for you friendly and sends text messages, sends follow-up emails, things like that, I do not recommend. And actually, Yelp has we de-index businesses that use tools like that. So that means if you won't show up in a search for mattresses, you will be removed from search until you stop using them.
But how do you know? How do you know that those reviews? I don't understand how you would know that a review was not
Yeah.
organically
Like
called for. Number one. Number two. So if I don't use Yelp regularly and I went somewhere and I really liked it and I wanted to write a review, my review is not going to be there because I don't use Yelp regularly.
So not necessarily. So the first question was like, how does Yelp know? Like whether or not a review is organic or inorganic. And then secondly, like as a consumer, if I use Yelp and I don't use it all the time, like what if I go and leave a review and then does it get like removed or will it show up? So I think the answers to both of those might be a little bit unsatisfying. One is whether or not a review gets recommended or not recommended, like that really is our secret sauce. Like that is the way that we prevent and make sure that consumers are protected by like review farms and review factories and places where businesses go and try to buy reviews. We have and we monitor things like that. And we have something called a consumer alert that if a business is found to be actively purchasing or soliciting reviews, we'll actually show the evidence like on the page to the consumer. So when you go to a Yelp page, it'll pop up and say warning, like this business has been caught trying to buy and solicit reviews, and you can click and you can see the evidence. So that is kind of like on the extreme end. But if you think about how any tool works, if you're a business and you get, maybe you average 2 reviews a month for 5 years, and then you get 30 reviews in a week, that probably looks a little bit weird. And it's all just data and norms and activity and kind of like people operating within the normal bounds of what you would expect. And that's all based on everything that they're doing in their account and how well we get to know them. As far as not using Yelp a lot and whether or not your review would be shown, that's a little bit of a different scenario because like you can use Yelp all the time searching, or maybe you upload a photo, or maybe you look at a lot of businesses. Like there is no right level of activity, and there's no specific activity that is more important than others. You could use Yelp all the time for 5 years and never have written a review, and that probably shows us like consistent, regular use that you're somebody that we know. So if you wrote a review, it's very possible that would be recommended. Whereas somebody who just made an account and wrote 15 reviews, like maybe that's not trustworthy. So that's why we evaluate reviews all the time, because like I don't want to say like the dark hat like forces that are kind of trying to game the system are trying to get more sophisticated all the time. So we constantly are evaluating and changing and making updates. Having a Yelp page improves your SEO because it is a local listing site that has your contact information and has consumers talking about you. And also, Yelp itself is extremely well SEO'd, so that when somebody's doing a local search wherever you are, like Yelp is probably one of the first things that comes up in Google, because Google knows that consumers really care about like that content. There are a couple things that I always recommend with reviews. The first is, and the businesses who I work with who are most successful with their approach to reviews are like, one, appreciative of every review that they get. Like when you think about the businesses that are going to have the most customers and most reviews, you eat 3 times a day, right? So you can expect restaurants are going to have a ton of reviews. Maybe like mattress store where you're not, like maybe you're seeing 10 or 15 customers a day or whatever it might be. So you're going to see a smaller proportion of it. But what's important, and one of my favorites is there's a moving company in Austin, and his team, every week they print out their reviews and they read them in their staff meetings. And they don't get a ton of reviews a week because they're a moving company. But they're incorporating all of that feedback from all of their different review platforms and email and manager comments and whatever it might be. So I always recommend the first thing is just make operational changes that you are bringing that feedback into your business so that people know that you value it. and that you're orienting your employees around it, the worst possible thing you could do is create incentives or competitions or things like that for your employees, where you're saying, we really want to get 2 more reviews this week, we really want to do this, that, or the other thing, because it's one of those situations where you'll say, don't ask for it, don't do this, don't do that, but like, there is this, I was just listening to a podcast about this the other day, but there is this like law that is effectively like, whatever objectives you set, things will change to hit that goal. So maybe they don't change it in the way that you want it to, but that goal will always be attained somehow or another. It might just not be in the way that you want it to be attained. So that's like that's an important thing to think about. I think the example that they used was like, if you want people clocking in on time, they were saying that like employees will ask their peers to clock them in and do things like that for them. So everybody will be clocked in on time, but what might actually suffer is you might not actually have the people who you expect to be there. Okay, next question.
What is your monthly budget that you should set for advertising on Yelp?
Oh, gosh. Okay, so what is the monthly budget for advertising on
Because
Yelp?
as much as you say, don't tell people to do this and don't tell people to do that, how else are you going to get like more people who are going to do reviews? I mean, what you're saying, I have to say, I disagree with in some ways. That you have to motivate people, and people aren't usually motivated to write a review.
Well, the good news is
I know by law you have to say what you have to say, but that's not reality.
there's no law. The good news is I disagree with you disagreeing. But as far as, budget, there is no correlation between advertising and budget, or advertising and reviews. So it doesn't matter if you advertise on Yelp, don't advertise on Yelp. Like, that's not going to change or impact the number of reviews that you get on the site. What I would say is, like, if you have advertising objectives, or if you want to see a certain, like, if you want to see more people, like, look at what you're already getting in your account. You have a ton of free metrics. You can see the number of people who are already viewing you by month, by day, and then looking at your leads, like the number of people who are calling or mapping directions. And if you say, great, 20% of the people who are looking at my business are calling my business, I want to increase that. I'm going to set an advertising budget to double that number, and I can expect that the number of map directions will also double.
Well, I can tell you with my business, it's a lot better if I advertise than I don't.
Okay. Well, that's how advertising works. Business improves when you spend money on
Right.
advertising.
No, I get that.
But your reviews and your reputation have no impact on whether or not you advertise. Like, businesses, so one of my favorite businesses that I've ever encountered on Yelp is called TKB Deli. They were #1 on our top 100 restaurants list last year, and they've been in the top 5 for the past 3 years prior to that. They've never spent a dime on Yelp. They have over 1,000 reviews, 5 stars. And what differentiates them is that operationally and within their organization, they do everything with a quote-unquote 5-star state of mind. Like Melina, the daughter, like every sandwich that they make and that they serve to their customers, she asks their staff and they train their staff, like, is that a 5-star sandwich? And if they hesitate, if anything, she throws it out and they make it away. So it's like, Yelp is not a measure of your advertising budget. It is not a measure of anything other than like your operational excellence at having satisfied, happy customers. Because what happens, and kind of my final point here before we wrap up, is like why are there dumpling restaurants that have 5 stars on Yelp and there are Michelin-rated restaurants that have 3.5 or 4 stars, right? It's because as a consumer, when I'm going to a business and I'm doing my research, I have a certain expectation. There's a brand promise, and that brand promise, is setting my expectations here. And that brand promise is made up of your online reviews, your advertising, your marketing, your font, where you advertise. If you advertise on radio, maybe I think you're more traditional. If you advertise on Facebook, maybe I think you're more sophisticated or younger. If you advertise on Yelp, I think you take pride in your customer service. Like, whatever it might be, as a consumer, I'm going in with an expectation. And then there's what you actually deliver, right? So maybe that Michelin-rated restaurant, if one thing goes wrong, like my expectation was way up here, and you delivered here, and that gap is cognitive dissonance, right? It is the difference of what I expected and what I got, and that is where you see lower star ratings and lower reviews come from, because that consumer has experienced dissonance, right? So from a business perspective, your reviews are a measure of how well you're satisfying your brand promise. How well are you meeting the expectations that you have set for a consumer? And that dumpling restaurant that sells dollar dumplings probably has a much lower expectation, but they blow it out of the park, which is why they have such an incredible and robust presence. Does that make sense? So, advertising, not advertising, going back to kind of my original point, it's very difficult to make a 5-star page of 1-star business because it is a measure of how much you are satisfying your consumers' expectations.